Hey everybody, welcome to Crank and Bang Outdoors. I'm Kevin. This week I've got a trick that you can put in your fishing arsenal that can really help you land fish. It can help you put more hooks on your line. It's called the dropper loop, and it'll help you be successful whether you're catching shad on the Susquehanna or trying to jig up rockfish on the Chesapeake Bay. Basically, it allows you to put 2 hooks on your line instead of 1 and cast it. It'll really be an effective artificial lure presentation, or maybe you just want to use it for bottom fish. Alright, stay tuned and we'll show you how it's done. Alright, so I'm going to use a black background here with orange braid, and if you hear someone screaming in the background, that's my baby brother flipping out on Xbox, and he refuses to be quiet, but he's the baby of the family, so no one can tell him to be quiet. Anyway, what I've got here, and I've already done one step, was first I slid my lighter lure, which in this case is a Clouser minnow fly, onto the line. It's free sliding. I'm going to go back, and when I make my loop, that's the lure that's going to be in the loop. At the end of the line, I've got my heavier jig, which happens to be a 1/2 ounce jig head connected to a Bass Assassin soft plastic lure. So that's connected with an improved clinch knot, which maybe I'll do a video on that later. That's your basic fishing knot. Use that all the time. So, back to the dropper loop. My first step is going to be, well, you guessed it, make a loop. So, I want to make it so that this lure is in the loop. See my 2 lines here? Imagine that. I'm going to cross those suckers over and make a loop. Got my loop there, and I'm pinching the end of the loop. Now you notice I have 2 ends here, right here and right here, behind where I pinched my loop off. That's important. I'm going to kind of bring those together a little bit. I'm going to take my lure, which is in my loop, and my loop, I'm going to simply wrap it around those 2 pieces of line 3 times for my purposes here. Maybe test the strength of your line and find the right amount of wraps for it. So now what I've got is I've got my lure and loop wrapped around those 2 parts of the main line behind where I had pinched. Now you'll notice where I pinched, imagine that, another loop. This is where it's real easy. I'm just going to take my lure and I'm going to pass it through that loop. Like so. Then I take all the ends of the lines here and the lure, and I'm just going to pull that SOB tight. And you've got a knot there. My lure's in this loop here. Boom. I have a dropper loop, ladies and gentlemen. That's my main line. That's at the top of that T that you see there. And then that's my loop with my lure on it. So I have a heavy lure at the bottom tied on with a regular fishing knot, in this case an improved clinch knot, which is my knot of choice, and then up the line a little bit, a loop, tied, dropping off the main line, hence the name dropper loop, to a Clouser minnow fly, which is lighter than the lure at the bottom. Well, I hope you enjoyed that how-to video on how to tie a dropper loop, and I hope you find it useful. A couple examples of ways that you can use it. A lot of guys use it for catching rockfish or striped bass on light tackle when they're jigging. They'll tie a Clouser minnow like I just showed you, like 2 feet or so above their jig on a loop. You can make a homemade bottom or sabiki rig with it. Take a bunch of hooks and slide them up on your line and tie a bunch of dropper loops. Use stiffer monofilament so it holds the hooks out farther from your line, and then tie a weight on at the bottom and then put bait on them. Guys, all the time when the shad come into Deer Creek or the other creeks or rivers in Maryland, they'll go ahead and they'll tie a double shad rig. They'll tie a shad dart, or spoon on the bottom, and then about a foot above that put a lighter shad dart or spoon. And when the shad are running thick, man, they are hauling in doubles of hickory shad, and once in a while your American or white shad. And it's a blast. Guys that are doing that are oftentimes sitting there with a clicker and counting how many fish they come up with. Sometimes they'll come up with anywhere between 50 and 100 shad. It's insane. And a lot of times they're pulling doubles in on almost every cast. So go ahead and put that trick in your arsenal of tricks. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video on how to tie a dropper loop. Go ahead and give me some feedback, like, comment, subscribe. Shoot over to the new Facebook page at www.facebook.com/crankandbangoutdoors. There is no dashes between the N, or on either side of the N I should say, in the web address like there is in the name. Or heck, just search it on Facebook if you got one. Give us some comments, some recommendations, questions. Throw them out there, and stay tuned for the next upcoming videos. Go check out the past 2 weeks videos, both on trout fishing if you're into that. One was from opening day on Deer Creek, and the other one was a how-to on how to fish with bait for stocked rainbow trout. This is Kevin signing off from Crank and Bang Outdoors. See y'all next week. Have a good one.